They can help you up on this side. You got room for a couple more on here, huh?
The evacuations have been nearly non-stop.
As the realization sets in, the river is winning.
They're leaving as quick as we are, shutting off power and getting out as quick as they can because it's
High here for 2 weeks. They will be away at
least that long, and it is still so uncertain what they will come back to here. Aaron Hayes, ABC News, Grand Forks, North Dakota.
Offices, however, will remain open. A decision about holding classes the rest of the week will be announced on Tuesday, the 22nd at 2 p.m. There is a shelter in Hillsborough that can hold 300 to 400 people. Pets are accepted. Daycare also be available. Please report to the Hillsborough High School. Contact phone number for the shelter is 701-436-5803.
Now you can get a look behind GF Photo.
Look at that. Yeah, I hadn't seen that yet. Water behind
One of the streets,
GF
I
Photo.
can't remember what that one is. But it is right behind GF Photo on Washington Street there.
Residents are asked to bring their pet carriers to Northland Community College by 6 o'clock tonight. Then they will be allowed to use for a pet evac in the Grand Forks, East Grand Forks area for those people that need that for pets. I know in many, again, the articles, people were willing to take a pet if they were caged. This might help with that. So you folks in Thief River Falls, you're asked to bring your pet carriers to Northland Community College by 6 o'clock tonight.
Okay.
Norman Sorensen, call Kim Martin in Thief River Falls, 218-681-5708.
A few more announcements as we're looking from our rooftop camera live this afternoon. Carol Garlington called Dawn at 869-2843 and call her Alaska too. Carol Garlington, call 869-2843. Julie Donarski, call 869-2843. Is this a repeat? No, this is a different person calling for at the same number. Julie Donarski, call 869-2843. Deborah Samuelson, call your mother at 594-5262. She needs to hear from you. Deborah Samuelson, call your mother at 594-56. I said it wrong again. 594-5262.
It does tend to transpose that. Well, I noticed while we were sitting together, you're also left.
This went by the urban center. Pete, it looks like this is going down 4th Street, I believe. This is 4th Street heading north on 4th Street. And we're getting closer to the area where the fire happened. We're probably about 2 blocks away from that, where the fire happened yesterday in downtown Grand Forks.
Coming up on the right there where the jewel box used to be. And now
First Financial Center, if you got to look at that.
That's looking down Demers now, towards the Sorley Bridge.
That, I believe, is the Golden... Is that the Golden Square building there? We'll just give you a look here. Now we're back. Now this is the security building. That's where the fire started yesterday, late yesterday afternoon. That's what's left of it today. This is downtown Grand Forks today. Still smoldering. A beautiful building, too. Okay. Basically one wall intact.
And some of that dramatic footage we saw last night, we saw one of the walls fall in. I'm not sure which building that was, but we saw the whole wall cave into the street with a big splash. I've talked to a few people, neighbors who impacted in one way or another with this situation, who have relatives, friends, or business partners who are out of town. And of course, for them to call and say, and you certainly, you can't even come to compromise,
comprehend
a flood, but then when you add a fire to it, it doesn't make sense. There's Dr. Elliott's twice sold books. Saw the sign there.
We saw Handy Mail earlier. It just looks like a war zone in Grand Forks. You can't even tell really where you are anymore. You can't tell which building is which here. Intact. On the side facing the river. And the federal building way in the background, that wasn't damaged apparently by the fire. Now the fire skipped over a creek to 4th Street North. And this is video we just received not too long ago from WCCO in Minneapolis. Again, we're looking at, I believe, that building with the one sign there. That's Handy Mail there. Firefighters had a very difficult time trying to
Thanks. And you?
Well, I think I would be scared to go back because of the fires, and you never know what would happen next.
Very scary.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
very scary.
I think it's harder on the children. The adults, we can.
Just started keeping an eye on things, got out a few essentials, wedding mementos, anything that was important. And we went down yesterday, and the water's about 6 inches from our apartment room window, so I think by now she's probably under, but we got the essentials out, we made it out safe, so glad for that.
When you look around this town and see
How long? You know, the mayor is talking about 3 weeks to a month before she can get water back into the city, which is really why a lot of these people are here, is because it's just uninhabitable. So I think probably 6 weeks maybe is a pretty optimistic outlook for how long we'll be here. Large sense of compassion that comes up not only in the leadership but also in the people out here, which is why we can generate the amount of people to go down and help with the sandbag operations prior to this, where we can continue to provide people to help recover, why we can put together a shelter like this, because it's not the leadership, it's the willingness of the people to put their arms around a problem and work to resolve it.
.75% of that town by this morning. The president will tour the area by helicopter to survey the damage caused by flooding.
A huge weekend fire. He will meet with local officials to see what the federal government can do to help.
Surrendered to forces of nature that are still hard to fathom. There are 15 square miles of city underwater. Thousands and thousands of homes and businesses, schools, churches, everything is awash in deep, filthy, powerful river water. Life as anyone would know it in a city has stopped here.
It's hard to see a community that once had streets where traffic flowed and kids played and people worked in their yards.
When flames suddenly rose from the downtown sky Saturday night, one small fire, unreachable in this flood, became an inferno. Firefighters and volunteers tried to push their way in through the current.
The National Guard is in 24-hour curfew. Police are forcing even those who want to stay in their homes to evacuate. A good fight. But as the monuments to the flood of '97 will remind them for years to come, a fight that is clearly over.
Others who left their homes have gone to motels or to stay with relatives near and far. This was
caused by a rare combination of factors. First, the Red River, which starts at Lake Traverse and flows north toward Canada, is very shallow. It overflows quickly, and when it does, there's a wide, flat floodplain, 30 to 50 miles on either side, for the water to spread out in. Second, the entire Red River Valley has almost no slope, so it never empties quickly. The water collects. Then the weather. In November, heavy rains filled up the spongy ground. In December, a sudden freeze locked it in. Snow fell this winter deeper than ever recorded. And not just any snow, dense, with the highest water content per cubic foot of snow ever recorded there. Worse, this record depth and wetness of snow fell over 25,000 square miles that covered all tributaries feeding into the Red River. In early April, record cold kept things frozen. So April 8th, when the thaw began, all at once,
the ground is frozen, it's filled up with water, it cannot take in any more water.
News, they have not had their usual April thunderstorms. Yet. Bill Blakemore, ABC News.
High water, it said. Well, they've had a hell of a weekend at the paper. First the flood and then the fire you saw in our first report, which gutted the building. They lost their clipping and photograph files and much of their microfilm, going all the way back to the first edition in 1879. But they were on the job again today. They worked on an elementary school's computers, and they printed the paper in St. Paul, Minnesota, 300 miles away. It was important, said the paper. At a time like this, people are starved for news.